Admiral David L. Brewer III. He's from the class of 70, so if we have any of you, any of my classmates from 70, would you please stand, please? Thank you. When our class met last year at the National Convention, we discussed our upcoming 50th year Golden Celebration in 2020. Well, David quickly outlined a plan that included adopting a class of 2016, finding at least 100 of our classmates, mentoring those students, and making certain that those students graduate. And of course, donate money. I asked him to come and speak to our Houston group, and his response was, whatever I can do, I'll be more than willing. Well, you know our motto at Purview is, Purview produces productive people. Wow. David's distinguished career began May 17, 1970. He was a member of the Golden 13. The first graduating class of 13 Naval Reserve officers at a historical black college. Now his naval career has spanned for 35 years, and I will give you just a glimpse of what David believes, but his resume, it speaks volumes. Open your book up, and you will see what I'm talking about, of his superior leadership and his accolades. But what I'm gonna do today is talk about this. I'm a former teacher, so I like to have visuals. So I can get this to stand. This is called ladder builder. And David's belief, his belief system is based on being a ladder builder and not a ladder climber. You know, in a ladder you see things going this way, and that's the life in discipleship. We call those relationship builders. So that's what he's been doing. So as Vice Chief of Naval Education, he developed an educational program that provided over 300,000 sailors with degrees as master's degrees, bachelor's degrees, and associate degrees. How do you do that? You be a what? A ladder what? A ladder builder. All right. How do you achieve victory on your first command tour of a ship? I say that he was building ladders long before he took command of that ship, winning the most coveted award, the Battle E. That was in the Pacific Fleet. Then on his second command, he went over to the Atlantic Fleet, did the same identical thing. It was the best in the Navy for community service. How do you do that? I said he was building what? He was building ladders. One of the things that he's most proud of is that he inspired others to achieve their dreams. On his watch, he had the highest percent of sailors to be promoted, and more than 8 captains moved to the rank of admirals. How do you do that? I said that he was a what? He was a ladder builder. In 2006, he served as the superintendent of schools for the Los Angeles Unified School District with over 700,000 students. Dropout rates immediately declined by 17%. He had the highest academic gain, more than any other school district in the state of California. How do you do that? You be a what? A ladder builder. His commitment was, he told us, the people in Los Angeles, that every person that lives in the city of Los Angeles, you must be accountable for the students that are here. All right. You have a stake in their education as well. So how did he do it? He was a what? He was a ladder builder. Now, we are definitely proud of his military accomplishments, and we have a building on campus named David L. Brewer for the Naval ROTC building. That's cool. He holds the second highest degree, highest rank in the Navy, that of being a vice admiral. Only 1 out of 32 officers hold that position. That's something. But how did he get there? He was a what? He was a ladder builder. He is married to Dr. Deanie Brewer, an educator. He has a daughter, Stacy, who's a lawyer. She is the founder and owner of our own radio talk show named Captain Blue. And Stacy told me that what her father often does is he's called a reverse tither. Now, most of us are familiar with being tithers. We say we'll give 10%. But David is known as 90% give away, 10% keep. What you also don't know that he manages the David and Mildred Brewer Foundation that gives scholarships back to his high school where his father taught for 33 years. You also know this, that he is also a caring person. He is a caregiver for his mother, who's 94 years young. It is evident that those principles are passed down to him because his father and mother, they open their homes to those who are less fortunate. He really completes the command that says, love thy neighbor as yourself. I want you to stand. I want you to put your hands together and give a warm welcome for my classmate, my friend, Admiral 3-star David L. Brewer III.
Thank you. I am not a podium speaker. I reach out and touch you, so if you get sleepy, you feel my hand on you to know what's happening. So don't go to sleep on me now. Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank President LaShonda Williams for the Houston chapter for an outstanding job for the luncheon. Beverly Hatchett, thank you, Beverly. Thank you for calling me and keeping me in line. Eddie Johnson, thank you for calling me and keeping me in line. Thank you, Maurice, for being the MC. And I'd also like to recognize Roy Johnson over here. Roy is raising all this money for the foundation. I also like to thank Phyllis for keeping us informed on Facebook. I think I get about 3 emails from you a day. You know, we're going to have a conversation today.
All right.
This is about family, okay? This is about family. This is the Prairie View family. Now, when I joined the Navy in 1970, I took an oath. And in that oath, I said, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And for 35 years, 10 months, and 17 days, that's what I did. I defended this country against foreign enemies. I read a book called Halftime by Bob Buford during my tour. And Bob said, and I got a chance to meet him, and Bob said, listen, the first part of your life, you focus on success. So that's what I did 35 years while I was defending this country. But the second half of your life, you focus on substance and what is important. So after I retired, I got this strange phone call from somebody in Los Angeles that said, somebody has nominated you to be a candidate to be superintendent of schools for Los Angeles. And I said, who in the hell did that? I neither applied nor wanted that job. But I refocused on what Bob Buford told me. And so as things would happen through a couple of interviews, I ended up with the job. LA, 700,000 students, 76% of whom are in poverty. The largest homeless population in the nation. The largest foster care population in the nation. African Americans are the lowest performers in the school district, even below their Hispanic and immigrant count. African Americans, highest unemployment rate. African Americans, lowest home ownership. African Americans, lowest income per capita. I say, well, there's got to be an answer to this. Highest incarceration rate. On any given day, 900,000 African Americans are either in local, state, or federal prisons. Now we can sit back and say, oh, you know, racism this and, you know, them that. But at some point in time, you know, as my dad used to tell me, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's me time. Okay? It's me time. All right? Now, one of the most compelling books I've read in the last 2 years is The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. Now, my generation, my father's generation, my mother's generation, we helped defeat the old Jim Crow. We got us out of the back of the bus and away from the colored fountains and forced segregation. We still got segregation, by the way. But at least now it's a little bit slicker, as they say. But the new Jim Crow is called mass incarceration. You see, we went from the war on poverty to the war on drugs, and all of a sudden, what started to happen was, all of a sudden, in 1976, I never forget, when I was the commander in Guam, Justice Kennedy came out, I was the new flag officer out there, and he came out and I said, Justice Kennedy, I did a study at the War College, and one of the things I found out is that the prison population has been doubling every 10 years since 1976. I said, if we don't do something about that, we're going to bankrupt the country, not only financially, but morally. And I have to tell this story, you know, there's that old saying about, what do they call a black physicist? Some of y'all know where I'm going with this. I was the new commander in Guam, 94, brand new flag officer, have a new star on, shining, I put my shorts on, I'm running in my neighborhood, up on Nimitz Hill, 1,000 feet above the Philippine Sea, and I'm running in my neighborhood, and all of a sudden this car pulls up. It was a Navy mass in arms in his uniform, and he gets out of the car and says, you can't run up here. What did I say? He got out of the car. What happened here recently? Zimmerman did what? He got out of the car. And I looked at him and I said, son, my name is Admiral David Brewer. And I live in that house. So I suggest you get on out of here. So I went and raised holy hell. You know I raised hell. I got in my prayer view mode then, baby. I had to work with it. But the point is that we were seen as criminals, even as an admiral. I'm seen as somebody who is a criminal. Okay? And see, that's ridiculous. And so we've got to change that. But I'm going to lay something else on you because it's beginning to creep into this class of African Americans. See, we are the talented 10th. We are what Du Bois said, we are the ones who are responsible for going out and lifting up the race. We are the talented 10th. But this crime issue is beginning to creep into our neighborhood. My daughter is a beautiful 33-year-old lawyer, and she is not married. And that's a problem for me. In more ways than one. Okay? Now, but let me give you a statistic. Since we are now the most incarcerated nation in the world. the United States of America has 2.2 million people in jail, most of whom are black and brown. Okay? China's number 2 at 1.5, Russia's number 3 at 1. Okay? Now what does that do to us? Howard University last year was 67% girls and 33% boys. That's what it's doing to us. That means that our middle-class, talented 10th daughters can't find an African-American husband. That's what it's doing to us. That's why I'm ready to raise some hell. And they're telling us, oh, we got to do it because it's costing so much money. Says, God damn it, you should have done it because it was morally wrong. That's what I got to say to you. You can't sit up and everything can't be about money.
Exactly.
So I was just talking to my frat brothers, you know, I'm a member of that fraternity that's the greatest fraternity of all time. Alpha Phi fraternity. I had to throw a little stuff out there. That worked with it. Okay. But in all seriousness, we know what the problems are, and we are capable of fixing it. I just read a book here recently that talked about what we have to do to be successful on an individual level. And so I'm going to start there. I'm going to start there because we need to be able to transmit this individual success model or paradigm to these 6 young people over here. I call it the 4 E's. It's education, economics, exercise, and diet on a bedrock of ethics. Let's start with education. What phase of a child's education is the most important phase? Anybody? Early childhood. Pre-K. We've been arguing over Head Start and Pre-K for decades. They want to start at 3, that's too late. You got to start no later than 2. One of the greatest programs in the country is the Tangelo Park program. That program starts pre-K at 2 years old, full day, 50 weeks. They built in summer programs because we also know that poor children, especially because they have no resources, they regress academically during the summer. A 180-day school system is barbaric. It is way past time to change that. We are no longer on the farm. The only reason they had 180 days so you could work on the farm. Who's working on the farm here? Anybody? And so we begin to wonder why we're sliding back educationally, whether we're behind our Asian brothers and sisters over there, or why we're behind the Finnish people. Why are we behind? Because we have a dilapidated education system. So the Tangelo Park fixed that. It's been running for 20 years. 20 years. This was an open drug market community. In the 20 years since it's been running, it is now one of the safest communities in my hometown of Orlando, Florida. 52% reduction in crime. They have a scholarship safety net program on the back end, but it's not just scholarships. You see, African Americans, again, college graduation rate after 6 years, 39%. Hispanics, 48%. White, 60%. Asian Americans, 69%. These poor black kids in Tangelo Park are graduating at a rate of 77%. Higher than Asians. We know what to do. We know what to do. And it's not just about money. It's about supporting them once they get to college. So education, number 1. The next one is economics. I was fortunate enough to be on Family Feud in 1979 with Richard Dawson. And during the producer was practicing us. And the producer asked the question, okay, close his ears. The producer asked the question, what is the most important thing to a marriage? And at the time, I had been married a year. I said, sex! Boom! 60 years. And my father said, money. And so the producer said, well, why is that, David? He was the junior and I was the third. He says, because, shoot, man, there ain't no romance without finance. There ain't no romance without finance. Okay? I have the privilege of meeting Yukon Zhao, who has written a book, The Chinese Secrets for Success. And in that book, he talks about why Asian Americans have done so well in this country because they are frugal, they are tight with money, and they're extremely disciplined. They follow Confucian values, 5 Confucian values. Education being one of them, obviously money being the other one. The other one is they don't let their children make college major decisions without major input from the family. You're 18, you don't know enough to make that decision right now. So we're going to help you out. All of that's in the book. He talks extensively about that. Okay, the next one is exercise and diet. Again, first of all, the United States of America's life expectancy is so bad until we rank 51st in the world. Not 10, not 20, not 30, not 40, 51st in the world. What are we doing? We are literally digging our graves with our knives and forks. African Americans would rank 112th. African American men would rank 144th. The average African American man only lives to be 70.9 years. I've lost 42 friends in the last 5 years. Only 4 made it to 70. When I saw that trend developing, that was a wake-up call. I changed my diet. I read a book called Eat to Live by Joel Furman. And in that book, he talks about how you can reverse heart disease, reverse diabetes, prevent cancer, and make sure that you don't have high blood pressure. I'm going to give you 4 foods. You tell me which one has the highest, I'm going to give you 5 foods. You tell me which ones have the highest nutrient to calorie ratio. Carrots, spinach, celery, collard greens, and beets. Which one? Spinach? How many of y'all say spinach? Okay. How many of y'all say carrots? Beets? Collard greens? Celery? Okay. The number 1 food on that list is, drum roll, collard greens. You know, when my daddy was growing up, he told me, boy, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Now, they had other connotations about that. The darker the vegetable, the higher the nutrient value. So black folks have been eating the right food all along, except for what? I went to dinner the other day, and they said, bro, come on here and get some of these collard greens. I looked in that pot, all I saw was ham hocks. I couldn't find the greens. I couldn't even find them. So we've been eating the right foods all along. In fact, you can exercise until the cows come home. If all you're eating is that high-fat food, you still are going to be at risk with your health. So I commend to you the book Eat to Live, which is a nutritarian diet. It says you go 80-20, 80% plant-based and 20% meat. And lean meat, not ham hocks, not fat back. Now I will say this, I have one weakness. I'm gonna have me some fried catfish every now and then. I'm gonna do that. Sorry, I got to do that. The last E is ethics. On a bedrock of ethics, so you have to live a spiritual and righteous life in order to be successful. Ethics is right versus what? No. It is right versus right. I'm going to give you a scenario. How many of you all believe that in the final analysis, it's always good to tell the truth? Raise your hand. Now, I know it must be a whole lot of liars in here. I got a whole bunch of liars in here. I see that right now. Okay. Hey, look at Steve Harvey said, I feel you. I see you. Okay, I'm going to give you a scenario. You are one of the conductors on the Underground Railroad, and Harriet Tubman shows up at your house and asks to store, for you to hold on to some of her slaves for a day or two. And all of a sudden, the slave master's bounty hunters come out to your house and ask you, do you have any slaves? What are you going to do? You going to tell the truth? It is right to tell the truth, but it is also right to be loyal to your principles of human dignity and human life. So that's why ethics is right versus right. I'm going to give you another one. It's called A Burning Truck. I'm going to make y'all read this book for this answer. The burning truck. A truck driver crashes, is burning, trapped in the cab. Guy walks up, patrolman walks up, he says, shoot me, I can't get out of here. Don't let me burn up in this truck. Shoot me. The patrolman reaches in for his gun twice. Because going through his mind is justice versus mercy. It is right to demand justice. It is wrong to kill. It is right to demand justice, but it is also right to show mercy. Go to page 162 in the book, and you'll get the answer of what he did. Brew is nasty. Brew is nasty. Now, Prairie View, the people in this room can lead this change. Okay? You can lead this change. You see, one of my favorite songs when I was growing up, it came out in May of 1966. It went to #1, stayed there 8 weeks, off and on. In fact, it's one of the only songs that started out at #1, dropped down, went back up to #1, dropped down, went back up to #1. I'm gonna see if y'all know the name of this song. I know you wanna leave me, 'cause I refuse to let you go. If I have to beg, please, for your sympathy, I don't mind, 'cause you mean that much to me. Ain't too proud to beg, sweet darling, please don't leave me, girl, don't you go. Y'all got it? I saw some of y'all faces, I thought of y'all. Look here. I got a new lyric that relates to Prairie View. It's called Ain't Too Proud to Brag. See, I ain't too proud to brag about the fact that Prairie View has produced more African American 3-star generals and one admiral than any other school in the country, with the exception of the military academy. See, I ain't too proud to brag about the fact that Prairie View has produced more African American admirals than any school in the country, with the exception of the Naval Academy. See, I ain't too proud to brag on the fact that Prairie View, yes, you already know we are the #1, we have the highest starting salary among historically black colleges, but what you may not know is our starting salaries for our graduates is higher than Yale University. Our starting salaries are higher than Hook'em Horns University, Texas. So the next time you see somebody from UT, you say, I'm just saying. But our starting salary is $49,300. I'm just saying. It's higher than yours. I'm just saying. So how do we build on that? You see, a college and university's reputation has a direct impact on your career. So we have to promote ourselves. I'll never forget, when I was Vice Chief of Naval Education and Training in Pensacola, the president of Florida State University came over because I found out what pork was. A congressman added $4 million to our budget to give to Florida State. We didn't know where the hell it came from, but that's okay. But he told me something. He said, when Florida State won the national championship in 1999, and I think I gave a speech a few years ago about Return to Glory. We had to bring our athletic program back. It's not about football. It's about promoting your school, because as a result of that, Florida State was in the top 5 universities in the country for SAT submission by students. So they were attracting the best students in the country. So that's what this is about. That's why you got to get in the face of some folks from UT, from Yale, and everybody else and say, look, we are number 1, baby. And then you got to promote that. Now we're going to have to put that into a system you've already heard. I call it the We Are Family system. The We Are Family system says this, that if whatever, how many of y'all are a member of a zero class, like 60, 70, 80, 90, etc. All of the zero classes have to come together and adopt and mentor the class of 2020. We're going to meet them, greet them, nurture them. But it's not about graduating from college. What is it about? It's also about getting a what? A job. We have enough Prairie View graduates to make sure that they're successful in their jobs. If you're in the Navy, I know we can make you successful. If you're in engineering, I know we can make you successful. If you're in nursing, whatever you are in, if you're in business, we can make you successful. So we're asking all of the classes to come together with your respective decade. If you're one class, all of the one classes come together. You should pick up the class of 2021. If you're 2 classes, you should be picking up the class of 2022. Come together. Because I predict, this is Brewer. Brewer predicts that once we implement that system, Prairie View is definitely going to go to the mountaintop. I predict, and you hear this for the first time, I predict that once you start that system, and once you start to get the money that Phyllis and Roy are always asking for, you're going to start to get that money. Because those young people are going to say, wait a minute, we are a part of a family, we feel valued. And I predict, you heard it here, that as a result, Prairie View A&M University will produce a Nobel laureate. Now, within the context of family, I'm going to ask all of the graduates to come up, the scholarship recipients to please come up forward, please. I talked about 4 books today, and I'm going to give each one of them a copy of these books. The first book on page 162 is the answer. It's How Good People Make Tough Choices by Rushworth Kidder. The second book is autographed by the author, Yukon Zhao, The Chinese Secrets for Success That Teaches Confucian Values. This is your fight. Your generation will have to fight the next civil rights movement. And that is going to be against the new Jim Crow. And that's the book by Michelle Alexander. And because I want you all to be healthy. You see, people say this all the time. Your health is your wealth. I don't think they really understand what that really means. I'm going to tell you what that means. If you don't live long enough, you can't accumulate wealth. A 4-star general died here recently at 57 years old. He never drew a retirement check, and he never drew Social Security. So what happened? He left money on the table. Okay? I want you to live a healthy and wealthy life. So I'm giving you a copy of Dr. Furman's book, Eat to Live. Thank you. Each one of these has a name. We'll have to let them figure out the names. There you go. Y'all can sort it. Each one of them has yours. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. this is paying for it. This is paying for it. This is empowering our Panthers. And this is why I predict, if we do this going forward, we will have, as I said, a Nobel laureate. And I got this idea from Rice University. You see, Rice University has a policy, and that is, if anybody wins a Nobel Prize, they will build a building in their honor. So that's called goal setting. That's called incentivizing. So I'm incentivizing that right now. Okay? Now, the United States of America reminds me of a ship at sea. I call it the Good Ship America. You see, the Good Ship America, as it has traveled through the ocean of time, has had to have some great leaders, some great captains. We had the great captain, Abraham Lincoln, who said that America, you cannot survive half slave and half free. We had the great captain, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who said the only thing that we should fear is fear itself, as we were able to progress through World War II. Then we had the great captain, Martin Luther King Jr., who turned to the presidents Kennedy and Johnson, and he said, America, the great ship America, is fatally off course. She is headed for the rocks of racism and the shoals of sexism. You must come right to the deep blue waters of equal opportunity for all. And then in 1968, we had the great captain, Dr. A.I. Thomas, who told the United States Navy that you are underachieving when it comes to black officers in the Navy. In fact, there were only 256 black officers out of 72,000. And the Navy pushed back. We said, a historically black college can't produce successful naval officers. We don't want to do this. But he persisted. And the rest is history. Of that class, in 1970, 10 of us went into the Navy, 3 went into the Marine Corps. Of the 10 that went into the Navy, 8 stayed on active duty for 20 years or more. Of those 8, 6 rose to the rank of Navy captain, which is the same as colonel, or higher, which is a record for naval ROTC. And then, as a big ship is slow to turn, and in 2008, the great ship America turned right and elected Barack Obama as the first black president of the United States. But we still have turmoil on the great ship America. We've got voter suppression, we've got mass incarceration. We still got problems. But like any great ship, we have to pull into port. And when she pulls into port, she puts out this long brow of freedom. I call it freedom's pathway. And for every person, there are a lot of people who leave the great ship America because they are seasick with the tumultuousness of democracy. But for every one person that walks off this great ship America, there are 10 waiting to come aboard. And I said, with all of these problems, and voter suppression, and the recession, and all of these problems, why in the world would 10 people still be trying to clamor aboard this great ship? Because in the final analysis, we still have to be Americans. We aren't just black Americans, we aren't just Asian Americans, we are Americans. And when I ask that question, why 10 for everyone? The answer is always the same. You see, America, in her worst of times, is better than the rest in their best of times. God bless you, God bless the United States of America, and God bless her.
How many of you are as speechless as I am? One more time. I am honored to serve as the Houston chapter president, and it is truly a privilege. And today, Vice Admiral Brewer, everyone knows that I talk a lot. However, today you have absolutely rendered me speechless. There are no words to describe how priceless your presentation was today. Absolutely invaluable and could never be replicated again. I'm glad we have it on video. One more time. Each time that we have a guest speaker, we like to honor our guests, and we traditionally provide plaques and things of that nature. And so, someone of your stature, it's kind of hard to decide what can you get someone who can pretty much get anything they want, because he talked about that wealth a few moments ago, ladies and gentlemen. So the committee was very thoughtful and kind, and they decided to give him the gift that is absolutely priceless, and that is the gift that he's given us, and that is, drum rolls. Time, ladies and gentlemen. A wonderful clock here. Thank you so very much.
All right.
In addition to that, your classmate, Ms. Hester, went beyond the call of duty, and with the sentiment that her classmate provided to our students by getting an autographed book for them, she got some autographed memorabilia for our Vice Admiral.
All right. Jeremy Lynn.
At this time, we're going to do another drawing.